about that hour. It's 10 o'clock inside here. Do you need a second or are you good?
I'm ready now.
Okay, sounds great. Guys, first off, my name is Brandon Stanton. I own a company called 405 Media Group. Well, I'm a partner inside a company called 405 Media Group. I'll kind of give you a little bit of background as to who I am and, what makes me at least have a little bit of authority to speak to this topic. We work with over 125 different paving companies all across the country, okay? So anything that's out there, I always tell people this, and some of you guys have been members in my classes down here already, if I'm repeating myself at any given time, it's because it's the subject of marketing, and a lot of times we're covering the same things, okay? So, but I will tell you this, is that anything that I'm saying, I will always differentiate from the point of like, data-backed versus opinion. Okay, sometimes you come into some of these classes and they'll start talking to you, and as they talk to you, they're giving you your opinion, and all of a sudden you see disagreement take place inside here. Anything that I'm telling to you, I a lot of times tell you that it comes with receipts, and those receipts come in the form of, by working with all those different paving companies, we get a first-hand look. We can look at the back ends, we can see what's working all across the country, what has been attempted and failed, what's been attempted and working, what's not yet been attempted yet, and all of the above. And it's always going to range a little bit. From each area that you take a look at inside the country, you're going to get a different reaction. The East Coast acts different than the West Coast versus the Midwest versus the South. All of them have a little bit of different buying pattern. So when we look at this, just know that there's no hard silver bullet. It's all just kind of philosophy, but the philosophy that we have inside there is backed with receipts, okay? And the other caveat I put inside here is it's technology. And technology seems to be changing faster than we can wrap our heads around it. So just know that, okay? I can bring that up because I had somebody, with COVID, they're like, hey, I tried. I just kind of got that thing rolling that we took that class pre-COVID. He's got that in like, we're miles past that right now, So just understand that it's going to be changing. But let's talk about this. What's neat about what we're going to talk about today, and what I like about the Saturday classes is that your Saturday classes tend to be more intimate. There's not as many people inside the Saturday classes. It tends to have a different feeling, a different vibe, where we can actually get interactive because we have smaller groups versus just your standard, class where we've got 125 people inside here and we can't get to any questions or anything along those lines, okay? What I love about what we're going to talk about is that it's all about sales, brand, and recognition. And to me, life is about sales. You're selling everything. Anybody ever watched the movie Boiler Room? Remember that movie Boiler Room? You remember the line that Ben Affleck says? He says, you're always selling. Either you're selling him on some stock or he's selling you on a BS reason why you can't buy it. And it's just so true. He's talking about how it's always selling inside here. So that said, what can video do for your company? And I say, what you want it to do is you want it to kind of tell your story, right? Like if we look at these things, every company was started for a reason. And the more intimate you can get with that actual story, the better it's going to turn out, okay? So if we look at it, why did you guys start at, what is it, above the line business?
Along those lines.
Along those lines. That's not bad for 2 years out. Why did you guys start that company?
We were pretty passionate about making things look better. And so my family owned a pavement maintenance business years ago, so I thought, well, that'd be a great business to start. And so we came to MPE and we started the business in 2019.
Great. Why did you start your business?
I was forced to. I left another company.
Okay.
It's the only business I knew how to do.
Okay. So he's forced to.
I was forced to.
Okay. And you left the company. Now let's talk about that, because these are interesting times, you know what I mean? I'm forced to. Everybody loves an underdog story. Everybody loves that story where it's just like my back was up against the wall and I didn't have options. How about your company?
I don't own the company, but I carry myself like I do.
Perfect.
I feel like I feel passionate about it. The owner started in 2003, and I've known him since the 90s and came to his company about 6 years ago, and I do business development and marketing, so that's why I'm here.
Perfect. Perfect. So guys, as we look at this, what I want to do is one thing about these Saturday classes that's really fun and unique is that I want you guys to go back to where you're, guys, I understand paving contractors. I know in 2 weeks from now I can call you guys and I would never hear from you guys ever again. Because you guys are off. I shouldn't say ever again. I don't catch you until next December. So that said, let's start putting together a blueprint of each one of these things, and let's start taking some notes as to like your story. So let's write that. Like guys, let's take 2 minutes and just write down your story as quick as you can. It doesn't have to, like, we're just going to go ugly inside here. And the reason why I want you guys to do this is because I want you guys to go home with something that's actually executionable. I don't want it to just be, you're here, you're inside the class, you doze off, and then all of a sudden you're back to work and you don't get anything out of it. So let's start with that. Let's start with your story.
So the story that we have posted, which is really why we wanted a business that we can include our family.
Okay, that's great. And there's a reason why. Because I think generational success is something, you know what I mean, like that. It's important to keep that inside your mind, yeah, right? And that's like, would customers respond to that? I think they would. So let's just kind of jot that down a little bit.
Business story or personal story?
Both. Whatever someone would find interesting about you, because what we're doing inside here is we're going to tell our story, and what we're trying to really do is create differentiation. Is that with video, one of the great things about it is it's going to help people get to know you, like you, and want to do business with you. You're going to be able to reach them, touch them without them ever getting near to you. Does that make sense? Like, you've never met this person, you've never been belly to belly with this person, but you have the ability to tell your story. So as you do that, I'm going to just kind of touch on some of the other points inside here. Like I said, it's going to help you reach more customers, and it's going to increase the sales through education and trust. Those are the 3 main things that I think video can do for you inside the sales aspect. So in telling our story, that's what we're kind of jotting down right now. Marketing's moving into the direction of storytelling. Your story tells the potential customers that they can trust you, you can solve their problem, or you can address their needs. Your story will let them know the unique advantages and benefits of using your company versus the competitors inside the marketplace. So guys, when you're building this, and like I said, do it sloppy, like just start writing down what kind of the broad picture into it, and then you can go back and kind of connect the dots as we look at this to refine that story. But we're telling that story, and everybody's got a unique story, everybody. And if you don't, make it unique a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, just, there are pieces of importance, like just how you guys said, hey, when we drive through our city, I don't like the way it looks. And because of that, we're out there to beautify the city, make sure that businesses look great, and at the same time, maybe you guys do a little bit extra, we adopted a highway project because we don't like the way that looked either, So there's a lot of different items inside here. Now, let's go through the reach to more customers. What's this doing here? 24/7. Once you start dealing with video, your business is open 24/7. They don't have to wait anymore. They call your company, you guys aren't open, they don't have to wait because they can get the information that they're probably seeking if your video program is built right, okay? But the potential customers can view your videos 24/7. They can begin to trust your expertise, your character. Pictures and text fail to tell the whole story. Since research shows that people prefer to buy from somebody they know and trust, A properly made video will allow you to market yourself and get people to start trusting you. I'll give you an example. How many of you guys have pulled up your phone and ever seen my face on your phone? No one? You have? Okay. I'll tell you what. We put so much information out there, and as we put this information out there, I'll tell you a story. We were at a convention 2 weeks ago. I'm standing there, a guy walks up to me. He says, hey. It's like, hey. He goes, I saw you over there. I'm like, okay, that's kind of creepy, that's kind of weird. And he says, I said, yeah. He said, I was talking to those guys. I was like, well, you came over here, what's going on? He goes, well, I kind of want to punch you in the face. I said, you want to punch me in the face? He says, literally every time I pull up my phone, your face is on there. Every single time. I said, well, what did it tell you? He said, I think it tells me why I'm talking to you right now. So I think it's a good idea. I was like, perfect. Well, you know, he signed up with us. We didn't even talk about his business whatsoever. He just saw the face so many times. He's watched some of the different videos, and I know he's clicked on the video, even though he told me he didn't click on the video, because the way that we set up our marketing, like they have to watch over 50% of the first video to get on the second video, and he started telling me about the second and third video. So I know that this guy's from deep. And guys, it's all what video can do. Like, he can just keep pushing it out there. So that reach that you guys have is just crazy with the video. And then increasing sales through education and trust. Let's look at this one, because this is really where the rubber meets the road, okay? Video explains your company and the benefits in a more engaging and more in-depth format without the perceived pressure of a personal meeting. Without the perceived pressure of a personal meeting. I want you guys to highlight that piece. Because how many times have you guys found yourself inside of a meeting and you guys are selling, and as you guys sell, somebody gives you this. And you go, do you understand? Repeat it back to me. They don't understand at all, guys. They don't. All the information you're telling them as you're going in depth onto what they're doing, it's just flying right over their head. And it's embarrassing to say you don't understand. We live in this weird place these days that if you don't understand something, you don't go, I don't get it, tell me more about it. But if it's on video and it's sent to them, they can watch it once, they can watch it twice, they can watch it 3 times. When they're doing the shopping for somebody else and they go to hand this information over to somebody else, they can just do it via video. Because the worst thing in the world is that when you're doing the shopping, if it's a property manager, and they're doing the shopping for somebody else, and that somebody else goes, well, what about A, B, and C? And they go, I didn't ask that question. So they don't know the answer. Well, how about everything that was discussed with me is right here in this video? Take a look at it. I mean, it gives a different look to it. And all of a sudden now, when that person who is the true decision maker inside here looks at that video, they're like, wow, this company's really got their act together. They're on a different level than the guy who handed me the carbon copy piece of paper. You know, it's just, it's night and day inside there. So, the shopping process. Guys, I know some of you guys have been in now 3 classes here, where you're going to hear this the 3rd time inside here. But the shopping process is changing. If we take a look at that shopping process, I always say we can't get left behind. And what I mean by the shopping process changing is this, is that 87% of the people right now are starting the shopping process with an online search. Comparing shopping for a service provider has never been as easy as it is today. It's an absolute must that you stand out from your competition. You have to look confident, credible, and trustworthy, and likable. Video allows for the prospects to give full explanation of the services that you're giving to them in the most engaging format possible. Guys, this is a huge differentiator. So if we look at that, you know, like that shopping process changing. How many people, like when we take a look at a property manager, do we know the average age of a property manager right now? Does anybody know the average age?
58.
58, very
We
good.
had a class the other day.
Okay, got it. I was like, wow, that's impressive. So,
I shouldn't give you credit for that.
yeah, that was good. That was
That's
good.
not my style.
Yeah. So 58, that makes him one of the oldest professions that are out there these days. And what I'm about to say, I know I got younger people in the class, you know, like I'm not spitting at millennials or anything like that, but like they're being replaced now by 35-year-olds, which is of that millennial generation, okay? And when we take a look at that generation, traditionally to the older generation, if they've ever said, hey, you know what, you do it like this. If you tell them to take a right, what do? They take a left, okay? There's nothing wrong with that, okay? That age group of people, if you take a look at previous age groups, life was probably harder for the previous age groups, so we depended on help from people. You know, we depended on it. Oh, you're going to help me? You're going to tell me where to go? Oh, great. Okay, shortcut. You just told me how to do it. Well, these days, you know, with a phone is literally like a calculator for everything. I always call it. It's the everything calculator. It's the everything calculator and it's the bad news machine. That's what I call it, you know. But the everything calculator can tell you how to almost do everything. So like when you tell somebody who's been raised with a cell phone that this is who you use, they go, got it, noted, but I'm going to take a look for myself. I want to find my own information. You know, why does that happen? One, they want that one-on-one relationship. They want that identity. And two, the younger generation isn't as trusting as we were. You know, like, they just aren't, because they've just got access to far more data than we ever had access to. So just know that piece is out there. And when these guys are getting replaced, these relationships that you guys have had for years that have always been stable, they aren't stable anymore because that new person has stepped in. So as that new person steps in, where are they going to find that information? Well, they're going to go online. And when they go online, are they judgmental and harsh about something that doesn't look put together? They're extremely judgmental and harsh. You know, like you hear them, like they talk in ways that I've never heard, and it's just like, dude, that's not that bad, you know, and they'll just rip it to shreds, you know. So, know that piece. When we talk about your website, where your website's got to be, it's got to be your best salesperson, okay? Understand that it is the hub, and we're gonna, like, I'm covering the website items because that's actually where all your work, a good portion of your videos are going to live. I mean, we're going to use the other spokes to kind of get those videos out there, but all of it's going to live onto your website. It's got to be your best salesperson, because literally, if you take a look at every shopping process and break it down, they're coming to your website sooner or later inside here. That website is going to work 24/7 for you. It has to drive the prospect to take the next step, which is going to be to contact you. Video is hands down the best user experience to drive that sale. It gives the prospect the ability to interact without feeling pressure of the in-person presentation, and the prospect gets to do the research on their own terms. Now, that's a big one right there. I get to do the research on my own terms. Who likes being pressured when they get sold something? Nobody. You're seeing the world change right now, right? Like, remember the old days where you go onto a car lot and it's just like, oh, here it comes, you know what I mean? Like wherever the car sales guy was coming, you were kind of ducking it, going down the other way, and like you'd watch these little vultures kind of like chase you around through there, and it's just like you try to get out of there before they got there, right? I sold used cars, so I was the guy chasing around. But the days of pressure selling are leaving, and the days of educational selling are winning. Now, Get this, understand this. Sales is not dying. Every time that I get into this, every sales guy balls up his fist and he's looking at me, he's like, you're wrong, sales will be around forever. Sales will be around forever. But sales is changing. And as sales change, we have to change with it, because the early adopters are usually the ones who get the biggest, shake of the meal inside here. So, guys, when we look at that and somebody's going to do their own research, and I challenge you guys to do this, and I want you to kind of write this down on your notepad right now, is that if someone were to do their own research and stumble upon my site, is it selling them? What do I have on there that is actually taking sales action versus just informational items? Because think about this, it's like there's two types of people. Like if you walked in, let's take a look at your website as being like a brick and mortar type business. And if they walked into your website, what would it say to them? What's covered? And then think to yourself, if they walked into your business and somebody said, hey, I'm thinking about getting a parking lot, how would you interact differently with them? Think about that for a second, because it's kind of like a funny question in a little bit of a way, and you never really kind of thought about it, but like, there's so much stuff on websites that just don't belong there. Family owned and operated since 1984. I don't care. What does that mean to the person? You have to decode it that, oh, they've been around, that they can honor a warranty, that they do good work, and they've somehow stayed in business. Family owned and operated, most people can't stand their families. You know what I mean? I like family, but like most people don't particularly get along. So does that tell you that you can get along with some pretty unruly people? Like, where is the benefit versus, hey, we get you an estimate within 48 hours. That's a benefit. Hey, the people that are putting onto your, laying down the asphalt have an average experience of A, B, and C. Hey, we warranty our product for this. And if you think about it, like I said before, it's like the same 80% of your questions that you guys answer in the sales process, it's the same 7 or 8 questions over and over and over again. So if they're asking those questions, we have to decode to say that's what's important to the buyer. That's what they really want to buy. So think about those questions, note those questions, write those questions down, and have formulated answers to them. Now, what video can do for you guys, which this is the part that I love, and we talked about this in Guy's class a little bit there yesterday. We talked about it, I think we touched onto it in the class on Thursday, is it has the ability to keep your sales process consistent. So let me explain why that's really important here before I get into it. We all have reasons to start a business. You talked about family, right? You want to pass this down to kids someday, so on and so forth. Everyone's got reasons, but there's got to be an exit point for everybody. Like we aren't going to do this forever. We have different ages inside of here. And what's going to happen at that point when we get down to the end of it? Are we going to sell it? Are we going to pass it down to a family member? Are we going to push it on to employees? What are we going to do with it? But I will tell you this, if you're going to try to sell something, sales, and whether you want to pass it down to a family member, it all revolves around process. The guy who's running out there, he's doing the work himself, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing it. That was my old man. He owned a paving company for 31 years. The value of his paving company was only around him, so when someone took a look at buying it, they're like, no thank you. Literally the response was, no thank you. Doing $12 million of business back in the early 2000s, and like people would look at it and go, no thank you, because it revolved only around him. So when we can take that sales process, make it real consistent through video, and what happens is that we have that video laid out so that we're talking, the sales process literally can be echoed through those videos, and as the sales process is going on, the guy is referring back to the video, What that does is the trust level goes up this high. Because you take the younger generation, they believe what they read, they do not believe what you say. So, but if I'm saying it and then tying it back to something over and over again, it becomes the truth. It becomes the stable truth. So, you know, and I like to read these slides after I kind of go over them, guys, so like, but in today's busy world, it's often difficult to present to all different decision makers at the same time. Video solves this problem. Your services and benefits can be clearly defined, explained, and presented on your buyer's timeline and schedule. This increases conversion as your message is consistent, accurate, and it shows that you have expertise in every single time. So, how many of you guys have been out there and you go out and you run a sale, and it's like, man, that sucked. I sucked in that one. Anyone have that? We've all had it, right? And it's like, what did I do? And we've had other ones that we go out and we go, man, I'm the man. You know, like, look at this. Like, I nailed that thing. You feel real good after you made that sale. But what's crazy about it is that I could be the best I could be, and sometimes they don't close, and I can be awful, and sometimes they do. But the nice part is that when we have that process inside a video, it makes up for all the spots that we left out. Does that make sense? And guys, when we create these videos, I'm going to tell you this. You don't want to take your sales process, record it, and all of a sudden it's like a 35-minute video. No one's going to watch that. No one. What you want to do is you want to break these things up into little digestible pieces of 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And whenever you put it inside there, put the time limit on there. Okay? Put the time onto it. So then you say, 90-second video on how we do ABC. 2-minute video on da-da-da-da. The reason why that is so important is it dictates the commitment to the person who has to click onto it. How many of you guys inside this room have ever clicked on a video, you see it's 22 minutes long, and then you just shut it right down? You ever think that's crazy? Like, you had enough interest to click on it. It's like, ooh, what's this? Ooh, it's 22 minutes.
So how do you get when sometimes you do the Google searches and then the YouTube videos come up and then it's specifically broken down to the part you want to go to?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Because you can tag it for the timing inside there.
Okay.
So like you can break all of that down and you can put little time blocks onto it, and inside that time block it will cover that specific segment.
Okay.
Or it's just a shortened video that's chopped up to that specific time block.
Okay.
Are you going to have a sample video for us to take a look at or anything?
I don't, because they don't give me internet inside this thing, but if you guys want, I can send you guys all the videos you want. Just reach out to me afterwards and I'll get you everything inside there. Where and how to leverage the video. So let's look at this. Guys, marketing, making niche-specific videos. We discussed this in the class on Thursday for some of you guys who are there. Making niche-specific videos. Cut them down to 15 to 30 seconds. You use these as teaser videos. So like, what I mean by this is this. You guys create a 2-minute video. You guys create a series of 2-minute videos for apartment complex owners. Okay? And inside that, what you're going to do is you break it all down so you have it step by step. Because what you're trying to do is get these guys to walk down that path, right? All the way down. Little time commitments inside there so they can read it. But then what happens is that you take those little, you find the hot buttons of whatever an apartment complex would be interested in, right? Think of their pain points. And you guys know this because you guys deal with them all. Now we're going to take those, we're going to cut it up into like a little 30-second, 15-second clip, and we're going to take it and we're going to say, and ask finally, and we're going to set up a marketing little flow inside here that says, finally, an asphalt company that specializes in apartment buildings. We're then going to go get a list of all the different apartment complexes, and we're going to start sending this stuff to them. They're going to be on our custom created list. These ads are going to serve up to these guys, and as these ads are served up to them, what happens is that they're vulnerable at the point where they're not happy. right? Like they probably have an existing relationship or whatever, but they're looking, or it might be the new 35-year-old property manager who's taking it over. They look, and all of a sudden they see an ad. Finally, an asphalt company specializing in apartment building. Guys, you guys don't specialize in apartment building, but you can have an ad that says it. Who knows? You could have a specialty group that does apartment buildings. You could have a preferred methodology in which covers apartment buildings. But I will tell you this, the amount of people who will call you and go, thank God you specialize in apartment buildings. But you also specialize in churches and universities and everything else, right? But, you know, the word specialize is kind of a fuzzy word, isn't it? You could have a process. But like, what happens is when you're talking to these guys, you say, yeah, apartment buildings, we do a ton of them. You know, we actually have a crew that's what they prefer to do. Well, nobody prefers an apartment building, but like, you tell them, you know, like, you have a sales process that's built out for them. And what happens is they start going down the rabbit hole, and they start clicking these things. And every time that they click it, your ads are popping up more and more and more. Your face is all over them. They get to know you, like you, trust you. You go and you do they might have some little group in town that you're doing a lunch and learn, and all of a sudden it's got 50 different property managers in there just from apartment buildings. You guys have, hey, I've seen you. I know you. Yeah. It's not difficult to capture that business once you guys do this. Does that make sense to all you guys? So let's stop right there to field some questions, because we kind of just covered a pretty big bite right there. Anyone have any questions about that? No one's got a question.
So, yeah.
All right, we got a question.
As far as the videos on your website, is that need to be on the main page, or does that need to be on a tab that needs to be clicked on somewhere, or how does that need to be presented?
Great question. Okay, so I put them all over the place. And here's how I set up ours. Is if you remember when we talked about like inside of a website, you have what's called a user experience inside that website. Like they come to the website, and you guys have to set up the website in which it's going to give you the best chance for them to move forward in the buying process, right? What we've traditionally found is that everything's going to these big pictures, and I'm going to get a little windy, but I'm going to answer your question. But you know, because it's Saturday, it's kind of casual, we can get a little windy. Inside that, when somebody opens up that website, they need to know that they are in the right place. That's why all of a sudden in the last 5-6 years, you've seen this evolution of everybody going to these huge pictures when you open up a website. If you remember years ago, they used to just be these little pictures and all of a sudden a ton of text. Now it's this big picture. The reason why it's a big picture is because they found out that the eye can digest that information so much faster than reading text about it. So it starts off with this big picture inside here. And then what normally they want to know after that is that, do you have the service that they want? You know, like, is it line striping that they want? Is it maintenance that they want? Do they have repair? What is it that they want? So normally it flows from that down to the different services. What we've been doing is I want to get those videos up towards the top of the page, because I think that's going to sell them the most. So what we started doing, and what we found works best, is to take the services and put them on that big picture. You see what I'm saying? So now we've got the big picture, and instead of them having to scroll down to even find the services a little bit lower, I take the services and I put them onto the picture. And you do it in a way that looks nice, you know what I mean? And whenever you're putting text over a picture, you want to make sure that the text is in a clean area. What I mean by that is that put it in the blue sky, put it on a black parking lot, not a striped parking lot, because if you put text over a striped parking lot, it just looks chaotic. Okay? So now you have your text there. Below there, what I do is I normally put the testimonials of our company right away, right there. Now, what you can do is you can have some different testimonials right there, or you can have the how you're different. Okay? If it's the home page, I would suggest to put the how you're different or the unique benefits of doing business with you right there. And then what you do is you create pages that are specifically for apartment complexes, HOAs, schools and management. And then from, like those interior pages are set up to almost look very similar to a home page, but they're loaded with the testimonial videos from the vertical itself. Does that make sense? So those would be, you know, because that makes a real strong, when you're starting to push those different ads out there and doing everything and bringing them back to a specific page, you're getting the property managers to the property management places, school and university to the school and universities, the HOAs to the HOAs. Does that answer your question? Now, hold on 2 seconds. In addition to that, what I would do is all the other videos, the services videos, you know, like, because you're going to make services videos, you're going to make everything, the About Us videos, all of that stuff. The service videos are going to go onto the service page. The About Us video is going to be onto the home page. The Why Choose Us video is going to be on the home page. But you have all of these things set up because, like, if you think about, like, if you come to the website, you know, who are you? Are you an asphalt contractor? Yes. Do you have the service that I'm looking for? Yes. Okay, why should I choose you or why should I trust you? Here's my testimonials. And then after that, the harder you sell them at the beginning, the more time they're going to invest on that site. And that's why I put the About Us a little bit below that, or the Why Choose Us.
So if a third-party company running your website, how long, it's going to be a two-part question, how long should it take for them to make the changes? And if it's exceeding that time, how can you make them push it faster?
If a third party is managing your website,
hire some company to make your
Yeah.
website for you, but you want to make changes and updates, how long should you wait? And if it's over X amount of period of time, how can you push them to
Yeah.
make changes faster?
I would say that most changes to a website should get done in 48 business hours, depending on the time that it takes, you know, depending on what the request is, right? Like some requests are more difficult than others. But it should be attended to within 48 business hours. And, you know, seasonality can have a little bit to do with it because if they specialize in something like asphalt, you know, like at this time of year, you got a lot more people making changes than like you do in June. See if the phone's still working, you know? That said, what can you do if they don't? You just fire them and they find a new guy.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that's what I would do because, I mean, guys, honestly, you know, we ran a web company for 12 years at this point, 14 years, I think. 3/4 of the changes are not difficult. The bad part is that people are doing business with people, you know, their web guy lives in their mom's basement and is a part-time web guy and then has a real job and he's hard to track down. That's what you see a lot of times. Just find a legitimate company that has a more boutique style and you're going to get a lot of them.
Okay.
One of the things that we ran into is with the people that, the advertising company with our website, is that we felt like we were working so hard to tell them what needed to be on our website, and so really we haven't done anything with it. It's just a bunch of, I think we looked at it, it's just it's information overload.
Yeah.
And so I think it's good to, you know, I guess, have a vendor that can tell you what needs to be there.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not telling you that, I'm telling everybody else that. Don't just go get an advertising company and think that they're gonna put things up there that should be up there for our industry, because they don't always know.
Yeah, 100%. And then I always give it the comparison is like you guys have two different types of employees that you can hire, right? You can hire one employee that has been in the industry for X amount of years. They know how to run equipment. They know how to do all these different things. And then you got the second guy who worked at Walmart for the last 4 years, but he just wants to try his hand at asphalt because he heard it makes more money. Well, those two employees have two different values to them, right? And when you're hiring the guy the second example inside there, you have to spend a lot of time catching him up to speed. And all of a sudden, like what you thought was a cheaper price turns into a more expensive price because of the time investment that you guys have to put into him. So it's kind of crazy. Let's keep plugging down the road here. Sales. We highlighted a couple of different areas above where video can be leveraged, but we didn't touch up on the expertise in the follow-up. So, guys, expertise and follow-up. When you're creating these videos, keep in mind your sales process and how you guys want to follow up with these things. So, when you guys are doing this right, a lot of times you can break these videos down and you can make secondary videos that looks like you're just trying to do a common courtesy, but they're set up into your different, the flow that you're sending out, like an automated flow that's getting sent out through your CRM. So you aren't sending this out, your CRM's sending it out. But think about this. You send out a proposal, and the guy says, we'll be in contact with you. How many times do we get that? Get it all the time, right? It sucks because it renders you powerless at that point. You're powerless. Do I follow up with him next Tuesday? Do I follow up with him Friday? How many times do I follow up if he doesn't answer the phone? Any of these things. But you want to keep your name in front of this person through the duration of that process. So inside my CRM system, if I mark a proposal out, I've got a flow behind it that just says 3 days after I'm going to send this email, 3 days after I'm going to, 5 days after that email, this email is going to go up. 2 days after that, this text message is going to go out. Okay. Now, if I keep telling this person, buy, hey, are you ready to buy yet? Are you ready to buy yet? Are you ready to buy yet? How am I coming off really great? I'm not. But I would want to get my name in front of them. So how about this? They have a seal coating project that you guys put a quote into. And your CRM can read, they put into seal coat, you realize that in their proposal out. Well, at that point, this thing can take control, and 5 days out, there's a video. Hey, just thinking about you, I wanted to send this out. This was a seal coating job that we did over at ABC, and I just wanted to show it to you. I'm being helpful. I'm not being pressured, but my name is in front of them. They can see it, and I can see if they clicked on that video. 3 days later, 5 days later, hey, here's a quick little video about 5 tips that people should take in mind when they're seal coating a parking lot. I think it could help when you guys are going through your job. And what it is it's your face, it's your company, it's explaining to them, it's in a real nice format, but what happens is that they're seeing you over and over again. Now, if I'm on the receiving end of that, can I look at this and go, this guy is a jerk. Jeez, why does he keep sending me this stuff? No, it's the opposite. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, 5 things. Never thought about that. You know? Oh, this could help. But what happens is, as I'm taking this in, 1, my face is on it. 2, they're getting to know me, like me, trust me, want to do business. As that happens, price sensitivity goes down. I might be able to, get a job that traditionally I want, but the expertise goes up. They think that they're dealing with a true expert, not just somebody who rolled in there, at the end of the day and slid a piece of paper over to them and said, hey, yeah, I think it's in the mail. So let's look at job expertise, When selling to a client, people always love to hear that they're dealing with an expert. If they've got a small nuisance on their project, the expert's going to take care of it, right? And there's nothing wrong with having a small nuisance, guys. Like, we're all going to have them. And I always say, it's not the nuisance, it's how we handle the nuisance that's really going to, so like when we're creating jobs and we show different challenges inside there, that's highlighting our expertise, Like, it's never a bad thing to kind of lay that out. Having case studies of projects similar to the type of work that they're requesting lets the prospect know they're in good hands. And the projects that's going to be executed, they're going to be minimal surprise. I'm not going to say without, I should change it inside here. But there's going to be minimal surprises inside here. And if there are, you know how to handle it. Follow up using a method in which the follow-up method inside of sales can be a powerful tool. When it's done correctly, you're leading the prospect down the path where the end is you are the best choice. You do this by sending the videos that detail the most common mistakes that people have when, whether they're in the shopping process or buying a specific product. When these are created, they're playing to your strengths and your competitors' weaknesses. So let's talk about that here for a second. Guys, your competitors' weaknesses. Do you guys know where you kind of sit inside this thing? As far as like, what do you offer versus your competitors? Like, what makes you unique? You ever think about that? There we go, come on, Brad, it's asphalt, like, you know, we're all doing the same thing. No, there's gotta be something that makes you guys unique. And there's gotta be something that makes them unique. And what I would do for you guys, and again, let's pull out our pen, right? This is kind of like our to-do homework inside here, is go onto your different competitors' websites. Start looking at it. Try to figure out what they're trying to say makes them unique. Take a look at your own business. Come up with something that makes you unique. And when we talk about you unique, saying something like, well, we're a veteran-owned business, that doesn't make you unique. It does make you unique, but it doesn't hold the value to the customer doesn't receive a benefit from it. Does that make sense? Like, think about this on the lines of like, what does the customer get in dealing with you versus somebody else? Because we have to figure that out, and you have to drive that home. And I mean, if you don't have anything, find something. If you don't have anything, start doing some research as to like what could make us unique. It could be safety. Some people go crazy on safety. It's nuts. You know, it could be job proficiency. You know, I know one thing, like with our company, like if somebody asks me like what makes 405 unique, I can tell you just like that. You know, like the elevator pitch on our company works like this. Hey, you know, we specialize in 3 different verticals: asphalt, concrete, roofing. Inside those 3 different verticals, we have a 96.7% client retention rate. What that means to you, that's the key term inside it, that's how you turn the corner. What that means to you is that you're almost guaranteed success when you work with us. I bring that up because that's been practiced, that's been rehearsed so many different times that I can spit it out just like that. And that's what I want you guys to do, is I want you guys to be able to spit something out just like that. And there should be that transition of what does it mean, what that means to you is. And when we bring that out, it's kind of crazy because we're defining the boundaries of what success is. Do you ever think about that? Like, we're defining like what that person should think about or be there, because it's a lot of times they don't know what they should be thinking about as they shop for asphalt. It's kind of crazy. Let's look at this next piece inside here, employee recruitment. Everybody struggles getting employees right now. Everybody. I have yet to meet the company. No, I take that back. I've got a couple companies that work with like ex-convicts, and they're never been easier, you know. Like, they're coming over in droves, you know. But other than that, group of companies, I don't know too many people who are not having challenges with recruiting right now. So when we look at recruiting and we look at employee hiring, we've got 2 sets of challenges. 3 sets of challenges. One being, I can't find anyone. Who's there? Put out a job post. No one applied for it. I'm having this challenge right now in our business. I put out a job post, and I kid you not, 3 years ago I put that job post out, and I would get 60 applicants for it. I put out a job post a month and a half ago. I got 0. 0. And I even went so far to start inviting people, like, hey, you know, like, check this one out. I'm inviting you to it. And all I got back was no thanks, you know. Like, and it's crazy. And I mean, this is a solid job, I feel like, you know. Like, maybe I'm delusional, but like, to me, I thought, but to me, I thought to myself, the pay is in line, everything is in line, why am I not getting the job? Why am I not getting the applicants? It's interesting, right? Well, that's one place that can be a challenge. Video can possibly help because you can showcase some things. But the second piece is the piece that I really want to focus on. And this is, let's say I find someone. I'm thirsty. I need someone. Oh, here's the guy. Applied. Hire him. Just walked inside the door. All of a sudden I hire him. After I hire him, I got $600 of onboarding between drug testing and everything else that I got inside there. All of a sudden, I pull my best guy from the field. I said, hey, we just hired Junior over here. Junior's going to be working with you, and I want you to take time to really walk Junior through these different areas, and Junior's walking him through it, and he's my best guy. So as Junior's walking him through, that's costing money. As that's costing money, Junior's on an hourly, which is costing money, but Junior isn't, or not, sorry, Junior's a senior trainer, costs money, but also he's not doing work. So now all of a sudden I take a look at what did it cost to bring this schlepping siding, what did it cost to bring Junior around? About $4,000. And then all of a sudden Junior turns around and says, oh, there's drug testing here? I didn't know that. I'm out. So now we just sunk $4,000 into this guy. But if we can turn around and start creating some different videos that show, like we're going to now put these on our employment page, okay? But that video, we're going to use it inside of our ad, like when we post that ad on Indeed or wherever we're posting our ads inside there, we're going to use that video, and that video is going to highlight the culture. It's going to highlight our expectations. We're going to make separate videos for laborers, foremen, equipment operators, whatever that might be, to explain what's there. We're going to, inside that video, we're going to explain the career advancement opportunities at your company. We're going to talk about the average time an employee is with our company. We're going to talk about the possible benefits that could be included inside that position, like a company truck, medical, dental, whatever they might be. But what this is doing is it's giving an idea of what the job possibly is. But more so, you can use video, and you can use video with music. And you guys have a cool industry, because what happens inside here is that you guys can get good video footage of like action and stuff going here and doing this and doing all this other crazy stuff, right? But as that goes on, you can put music to it. And you can turn that music up as this action shot kind of comes in, and then it turns back down as the interview process is going on and they're talking about it. Then they turn it back up as it goes on. What this does is it evokes an emotional response. And when this emotional response is evoked, they want to take some level of action. So like that video that lays out where you go, man, I don't really have anything that is really going to push somebody over to do business with, or to sign up to take a job with me. You do. I mean, you can talk a little bit about the opportunity, the money, and once that emotional piece is tied into it, people take action. It's hard in our industry. In our industry, what am I going to have? Like some guy typing up, they turn the music, it's different, So, but that said, employee recruiting. So finding the right people for your company can be very challenging. Video can definitely help inside this. It can showcase the company culture, expectations, and opportunities of advancement available to the potential candidate. Current employees can provide testimonials of their experiences. So now what you're doing is you're having the actual testimonial of the person who's working for you, saying this is a great company, because when it comes from me, it's not accurate because I own the business, but if it comes from an employee, that's a little bit more believable, right? Tommy Esso. Who knows who Tommy is here? Tommy Esso has got a great employment video, an excellent employment video that was done. But it talks about a guy who started there. He said, hey, and if I'm butchering this, forgive me. But it goes into a guy who says, hey, you know what, I was 18 years old, I felt like I was kind of on a path like this. All of a sudden, they gave me an opportunity. I've now been with the company for 17 plus years. This company has allowed me to do, the opportunity at this company and everything that's gone on with it has allowed me to buy a home, get the vehicle I want, These guys are never short on training. Like if you guys want to really say, hey, I want to now run that equipment next year, they're going to train you on it. Like it's a beautiful video that was done, and it helps. Like that's going to help them capture people. So employee and recruiting is great. Is it worth it? It's a big question. Guys, bad video can be done cheap. Good video is not cheap. We're going to talk about how we can reduce the price of it. But the actual video itself, is it worth it? Video is not cheap, but it brings tremendous value to the company. One video shoot produces videos that can be used for the next 3 to 5 years. Keep that in mind. 3 to 5 years. You can use it, and you can use it longer. It's just sometimes, guys get a little, us guys get gray in our beard quick, and all of a sudden we weren't gray, and all of a sudden we're really gray 5 years later, and people go, that's not you. These videos will turn your website into your best salesperson for your organization. It's selling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, like we said before. Your messaging will be organized straight to the point and lay out the benefits of what you offer and advantage to your competitor, okay? But think about this. Let's say you guys go and get some video. In the world that we live in, everything is measured off return, right guys? Like, what's the return? Let's say you guys go out there and you guys spend, I don't know what video costs these days, like a lot of times if you go get a single video, like if you say, hey, you know what, I want a guy to come out here and shoot a video, shoot an about video for us and take some pictures. That's probably gonna run you $3 grand, $2,800, and depending who you have to do it, $2,800 for a 1-day video. Okay, that's gonna produce you one video. Everyone steps back and goes, woo! I thought this was a good idea until now, but I'll tell you guys how you get around it, what you do, and the best way to tackle this. The reason why it's so expensive is because that videographer who's got to come out there shows up on scene. A lot of times they aren't the most organized people, and I'm not throwing any of these guys underneath the bus, but it's just like they'll show you get some real good ones and you can get some bad ones. But sometimes they show up on scene and they're like, well, what are we shooting today, boss? It's like, well, you're the video guy, you're supposed to tell me. And now it's this weird, and he's like, well, let's get the camera rolling, I'm going to ask you some questions, and we're going to go from there. Well, that can get ugly quick, okay? When you guys hire these guys, and you look at hiring these guys, try to have it broke down that, one, get the pricing not on a per video basis. Does that make sense? Rent the guy for a block of time. Tell him, listen, I want you to come out, what's your hourly rate? Instead of saying how much does a video cost, what's your hourly rate? He says, $200 an hour, whatever it is, okay? I want to buy you for 3 days. Now he shows up and try to pre-plan it, like the pre-planning. If I can pre-plan and I say, here's a list of all the different videos I want to shoot. So now you're not shooting one video, you're shooting 30 of them. Does this make sense? Here's the topic I want. Here's the subtopics I would like to discuss inside there. I want this done in an interview format so that I don't have to memorize anything. I'm not reading off a teleprompter because that's always going to look really awful. So like what you want is that you have it all bulleted out, and now it's all laid out, so it's an interview style. This guy's coming inside there, he says, okay, the about us, like inside your about us, I want to discuss my family, why I started this business, how the generational pass down, I envision this company to be one day for my younger kids, all this stuff. You guys have that all laid out inside the sub-bullet text. You see what I'm saying? So now what happens is that instead of him trying to set up different lighting for all these different shoots, he sets up the lighting once. You guys roll through that whole series of video, and now all he's got to do is collect the B-roll. And what the B-roll is the equipment moving around and the actual work being performed. So you kind of have the ability to get all of these different videos done And now, if he's 200 bucks an hour, what did I put into him? You know what I mean? Like, do I got, you know, $1,600 in a day? I've got 3 days inside there. I got $4,500, you know, roughly inside of the video shoot. Now he's got to send it to editing. I might be able to get 30 videos for $6 grand, $7 grand. So, guys, take control of the situation. But you have to be, it's like anything else in life. If you're organized and you have process to it, these guys are contractors. They're working for you. If you go inside there and you go, I don't know, what should I do? Guess what? They're going to take the price tag and reel it on up. But if you guys take control of the situation, go, this is what I want. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Don't be afraid when the guy goes, no, I'm not going to do that. You're going to get that. Guys will go, I'm not going to do that. But you'll find a guy who will. I will promise you that. But let's get back into the return conversation inside here. So we dictated the price. We just got a price. So now we have to take a look at our return. Let's say it was $10,000 that you guys put into it. Let's use a bigger number, $20,000. Let's say the video was $20,000. That'll scare you guys from doing this video, huh? 20 grand. How are we going to make the money from that 20 grand? If you're going to use them for 5 to 7 years, do you think it's going to help you close a sale? Do you think it could help you get a sale that you wouldn't possibly get? If that one sale is a commercial sale, how much is that sale worth? If you got your foot in the door with that particular person, it's not only that job, but it's a series of jobs afterwards. And if you have this thing dialed in right, you know, average commercial job is 30, you know, according to this is information from Jeff Stokes. I don't know if you guys know Jeff. Average job is $30,000 inside the commercial space, and this was probably, you know, pre where we're at today, but this was a couple years ago. $30,000 average profit on that job was 30% inside there. So it's $3 grand. Well, that's one job. If you guys are inside there just doing one job, you guys are probably in the wrong business. You know, like you want to make sure that once you get that job, that you're doing 5, 6, 7, 8, 15 jobs for this person. I mean, that's the end goal inside here, right? So, guys, if we're looking at this, it pays for itself relatively quickly. The headaches that it's going to cure for you are abundant. I mean, if we can say that it's going to help us get jobs, 1. It's going to help us not spend money on recruiting and hiring the wrong person, that's 2. It's going to give us consistent sales process, and it's going to give us value when we go to sell it. Ooh, trifecta. So, what about sales? We've all lost sales. And this is just going back to the actual return piece, guys. So, like, I know I covered some of this stuff, but like when we go back to the actual, is this providing a return inside here? We've all lost sales where we didn't get the best solution, where the best solution, but didn't get it because we couldn't speak to the decision maker. Think about that piece. If we put that inside here, you know, video remedies all of this, and it increases the sales conversion. Now, every decision maker gets the whole presentation and message. No more depending on one buyer to sell the other person. And you know, I discussed this in the class on Thursday. We recently had to buy, I live in Scottsdale, and we were off on vacation. My wife and kids are up in Minnesota, and we got a cabin up in Minnesota, and I'm lucky enough to go there 3 days a year. My wife goes out there for 2 months, I get 3 days, you know. And meanwhile, I'm heading back down to Phoenix. We're in a nice little heat wave, it's 118. I open up the door today, ooh, it's hot in here. Hit my air conditioner doesn't work. Tomorrow, and I make the phone call, I say, hey, my air conditioner doesn't work, can you get out here? They said, we can't get out there for 2 more days, we're so backed up. Next day, 120, next day, 120, you know. And the worst part about it is the air conditioner, so you have to be there as they show up, you know. Like, so I'm working away at 120 degree temperature. But anyway, I called my wife at that time. She said, hey, take a look at the quotes that we have. I got some quotes 2 weeks ago. I said, okay, you know, she looks at the quotes. I said, well, which one of these is which? She's like, well, I like this guy. Why do you like that guy? I just like him. And you look at that guy over here, she just liked him. You know, she had a feeling she liked this guy, you know. And I look at it, I'm like, that guy's a buffoon, you know what I mean? Like, I read through this stuff, I look at it, I'm like, this guy doesn't know his head from his tail. I look at his company, I'm like, this. And then I find this link from this other guy. Send something, and there's a link. Well, I open up that link, and this guy details everything. Hey, this is this. And there's like 14, and there's SEER rating, you know, like, I don't know if you guys, you know, this is the 14, this is the 16, this is this. And then he says, the golden words, but that's just useless, he says to me. He says, go with the 14. Well, he says, the size of your house is not going to matter. Well, that was like the golden thing to me. Like, I felt like he was the first guy who was going to be transparent with me, and that's who we ended up going with. You know, but it was because he put it on video. It was because when I asked my wife, she had no clue to explain to me who the better guy was, except that I like this guy. She didn't go into in depth, so the person who was collecting the information didn't do a real solid job about it. And I'm not throwing my wife under the bus, okay, I understand that. Like, she just didn't really do a solid job of collecting the information, or just didn't do it the way I guess I do.
Maybe she trusted him.
What's that?
Maybe she trusted him.
She did, but she trusted me and she married me, and that was probably a mistake too. But anyways, so we get down to the whole point of like the return. Let's get back into return, okay? 200, 300. What percentage of return are we going to get this? You know, what about our marketing? Not only generating quality, but quality content. Not only generating content, but quality content. Your brand's going to stand out. The quality over your competition, it's not even going to be a contest, guys. You're going to get first looks at the jobs you want, the most profitable jobs. The customers are going to be less price sensitive because the perceived quality is there. What's that worth? And I always say this, like, for you guys doing higher volumes inside there, if you can push that percentage a little bit, you know, like, Parker was in the class yesterday. I don't know if you guys remember him. They said, how many, what's you plan on doing? Oh, I plan on doing 20 million with a 10% kick inside there, so I'm going to make $2 million. That's it. That's just, you know. When we talked to Parker inside of this, I was like, hey guys, if we move that this much, your profitability, just a little bit, if we move it from 10 to 11.5, what does that do? Well, when you start looking at the big numbers, it does a lot. And so, again, when we look at it, 20 grand gets you what? At the end. So, hiring, we kind of covered that, so I'm not going to get into that. Why video now? If we look at the trends, Facebook, like the trends of social media, the trends have went this way, you know, like it went from MySpace to Facebook, Facebook to Instagram, Instagram to TikTok. That's kind of the transition. If you don't know what some of these social platforms are, don't worry about it, you know what I mean? But the part being is that you're starting to see the evolution of preferred content digestion. Okay? People like video. Why is TikTok more, you know, why do they like it? Why did Facebook have to change everything to go to, you know, a platform? Why are they buying Instagram? Why are they buying everything inside here? They have to buy it to stay on top of that social media, you know, where it's going. So, guys, it gives you kind of the clues as that you can see which way the wind is blowing. The second piece inside here is, you know, you have this piece of like your phone, okay? Like let's take your phone. I give this piece inside here. Like in 2000, you know, everything's going to 5G networks, so video is now a lot easier to download onto your phones, so on and so forth. Your phones are so much more powerful than where they were at just a couple of years ago. I mean, you remember a couple of years ago, if you don't want to watch a video, you click it, it gives you 3-4 seconds, and then it starts spinning, gets you 3-4 seconds, again, it starts spinning. And you don't really see that. Now everything's just so smooth inside here. I tell people the phone that I have in my pocket is more powerful than a server that I bought in 2006 for $61,000. Guys, that's amazing. That's amazing. That server was like as big as a closet, you know what I mean? Like, this thing that fit in my pocket. So, when we look at this, you can kind of see where the wind's blowing and all the different ways in which you can, you know, leverage this platform. But guys, I want you to think about this. Who flew here today? Or like, who's catching an airplane out versus driving? 2 people, okay? Let's take a look at some of these guys right now. I'm going to challenge you with this. Next time you're in an airport, what's everybody doing? Reading. On phone.
Watching TikTok.
Watching TikTok. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, I mean, think about this for 2 seconds. I would love to pretend America just works that hard. They're just grinding. They got their phone out. They're grinding away on there. No. They're playing games or looking at something, and I'm like, I always scratch my head like, what is there to look at? What is there to look at? People aren't even living their life anymore. They're participating in their life. It's stupid. You ever see these guys at a concert? They pay $200 to go to a concert, and they hold a phone up the whole time like this. It's like, are you nuts? You're never going to watch that video ever again. Ever again. But they want that video. Guys, it's where the world's going. And you can either jump into it and get it done or not get it done. So, we got some time left here. And what I want to do with the time left is this. We got roughly about 15 minutes. And what I want you guys to do is I want your pens and pads out right now. And we're going to create this blueprint. Because when we go back and we want to get this involved inside of our business, we're going to give the action plans of what we should have inside here. So let's draw a line about a third inside the page, like a third inside the page. Let's draw a big line. And let's start listing the videos out to the side of that line that we're going to start creating, okay? 1, and I'm going to just tell you what videos you guys probably want to create, okay? First video that you're going to want to create is the About Us video. Now, over to the side of that, like past that line, let's write down 3 bullet points that would be covered in the About Us video. And if you can't think of them off the top of your head, just write, I owe you 3 bullet points. Now, next video we're creating. Why choose us? And again, 3 bullet points laying out why someone should choose you. You guys are actually going to walk away with something out of this class, aren't you? Versus some of these other classes. Next, the employment video. Inside the employment video, 3 reasons why someone should go to work with you or work for you, what your company has to offer. Under the sub-items inside there of the employment video, which positions are going to get videos. So think about your highest turnover positions that you guys have inside there. Those are the ones that you want to start, and guys, this is just giving you a starting point of what you can create, you know what I mean? Like this, that's all we're talking about here, okay? If it's a labor position, it's a labor position. If it's commercial trucking, it's commercial truck. You know what I mean? Think of the highest turnover items that we have inside there. Next piece is going to be our services. We want videos inside of our services that are going to explain what that service is, and then the particular aspects of that service. So like if we think about this, like, you know, like what are they going to benefit from doing that? You know, like if you're sealing, if we're making something about sealing, we're going to talk about what are the benefits of the sealing. We're going to talk about the frequency of the sealing. We're going to talk about the average cost. We're going to talk about different factors that can play into that would affect cost. We're going to be talking about all of these things, because how we're going to use this is that we're going to send this out. If somebody, even like we talked about before, if somebody was interested in seal coating and we send them out an estimate, we need to follow up with it. Hey, here's some just informational product about it. And think about that, like the next one inside there, like here's 5 ways people make mistakes with how they shop for seal coat. You know, like any of those items, but we're going to create that with our different products. So like list out the different products and what you want to make those videos for, and then the bullet points on those specific products in which we should be covering. Okay, next let's talk about verticals or niches. The verticals or niches we're going to create those for. This can be everything from data centers, religious institutions, schools and universities, apartment complexes, HOAs, so on and so forth. We're going to create all of those different videos for those specific niches. So write down each one of the different niches inside there. And then for that niche, you want 3 things unique to that niche. Like, and think about it like this, I mean like apartment buildings. If you guys go to pave an apartment building, what is the absolute pain in your tail every time that you guys go there? Cars. People, you know? Like, you got cars, you got certain people working first shift, second shift, third shift. You can't figure out who owns that car. I mean, that thing's been sitting here for X amount of time. I don't know, it's been there for 3 months, no one's ever moved it, you know? That one's on blocks, what would happen, you know? Like, you always have these different items, you know? You talk about a checklist program that you guys might have to make sure that sprinklers are turned off, that this happens, that happens, and then speak to why you guys are the absolute authority on that specific niche. And guys, have fun with these things. Have fun with them. I mean, tell them stories. Like, that's what's just kind of crazy. You know, like, tell them a little bit of stories. Hey, we've seen everything, man. You know, like, you know, dogs locked in cars, this going on, it's garbage day, and this happens and that happens. Well, we got a solution for all of it, because we've got this checklist that we go over literally everything before we come out to do your apartment building. We make service phone calls to make sure that your on-site property manager knows that all of these things have to be completed and signed off on before I guys step on there. We've got traffic patterns in which we're going to do A, B, and C to ensure that your people are not going to have struggles. We've got golf carts that are going to ship these guys back and forth as we do it. Whatever your unique sales proposition is for that particular niche, you guys are going to execute it inside that video. All of it making sense? Does that give you guys a good head start? All right, what else can we make? Who's got some other ideas? Let's throw this around. Let's throw the ball around here a little bit. What other kind of videos do you think would be helpful?
What about technique videos?
technique.
Like doing the pothole repair or something, showing them some things along that line.
Yeah, I think that's got to, you know, I mean, we have to think like, what is the benefit going to be to the customer? I think that, you know, showing our expertise inside there, showing the efficiency, showing how we price fixing a pothole. I think that's a great one. You know what I mean? If your pothole looks like this, it's probably going to, you know, it's going to have a different price point than if your pothole looks like this. This you might think is a pothole, but really it's sub-base failure that goes on to A, B, and C, so we're going to have to get an infrared out here to get out X versus just that. You know what I mean? Like there could be all sorts of different areas of education. And like we said before, when there's education, people start to like you.
I was going to say for employees, I mean, for the way that we do things, that way instead of having our procedures manual, our SOPs,
Yep.
put them into video for them.
Perfect.
As opposed to us thinking they can read it and understand it,
Yes.
see it.
100%. And I'll give you one more inside there. So what he said is, he said, take your SOPs and turn them into video. Okay? Here's what we're seeing. Has anyone heard of the learning management system and the LMS? What a learning management system is that when you go to train someone, what sucks about training somebody is it takes up the time. What also is bad about it is that with, again, this is a generational thing. With the younger generation, a lot of times when you correct them, they don't like it. You know, it's weird. Remember, like when you're like the older generation, it was, it's like, ooh, geez, I gotta change the way I'm doing things. You know, the younger generation, if you literally scream at a guy, he's walking off the job. He's giving you the middle finger, he's walking off the job. I think we all agree on that, right? Especially where we're at today, because there's just such a shortage of workers. A learning management system, you take your SOP, you put it inside there, and we use this inside our office, okay? Is that if we see somebody not doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're not executing the task properly, instead of me going over there, well, this is normally how it works, is it says, hey, we're trying to get this done, here's your work, and here's what you did. We had training that covered that, let me send it to you. That's number one, okay? Now what happens is in our LMS, it shows that I sent one. He took the training and he signed off on it. That was his first time, right? The second time I talked to him about it and I sent it to him. The learning management tracks that, right? Now he's getting told the second time. The third time, I come to him, I say, hey, we still didn't do that, right? Did you watch the video? And I can see you watched the video because he's got to sign off on it. He says, yeah, I watched the video, I signed off on it. Okay, great. I'm going to send it to you again, and we're going to watch it together. And I'm going to show you exactly the spot where you didn't do it correctly. Okay, great. So we watch the video together. I show it to him. See that right there? You did this. It should look like that. Now all of a sudden the fourth time comes around, and he screws it up again.
Wow.
Now, at this point, he either cannot execute the task, or he's unwilling to execute the task. It's going to be one of the two. Do I have grounds to properly terminate him? And proof, 100%. So, was there any emotion involved in the exchange of him when I go, hey, you did it wrong, listen, here's how we do it over here. It wasn't like, hey, you're doing it wrong. And he's like, he goes out to lunch and barks about to his buddies that I'm such a jerk and A, B, C, and D. He can't do it because it's all onto the video.
Right.
So, that's an excellent way. I mean, I love the idea of using it for SOPs. Another great way in which we use these things is we use it for our subcontractors. So like we have subcontractors that execute a specific task. Well, I don't know, you know, your relationships with your subs or whatever, but like I want my subs to act a certain way. I want them to execute the project in a certain way. I want all of these things done. Well, it's all on video. So now instead of me going to hire someone and try to say, hey, you need to do it like this, it's just like, here, you're hired, here's this, send me the invoice, and then I can properly check his work against the protocol in which I sent to him. Any other ways, guys?
Areas you serve?
Areas you serve, that's great. Areas you serve, that works excellent. And I'll tell you this, if you guys are doing areas you serve, find a landmark inside that area you serve and shoot it against that backdrop of that landmark. Sometimes this can be a water tower, sometimes it can be this, sometimes it can be that. But what happens with it is that you can shoot that video and you can say, hey, you know, we serve the Shakopee, Minnesota area. We've been in business now for 25 years, and we've done over 214 jobs inside of Shakopee. These are some of the interesting things. And like, we've even had guys talk about soil types on different areas, you know what I mean? Which is just kind of a little bit hokey dokey, you know what I mean? But it makes it look like if you have something that's more around a river versus anything like that, that it looks a little bit different. So,
How do you, because we also do like municipal bids.
yeah.
So how do you differentiate from the other ones when they're just asking for tenders? Based on your conversations yesterday, sending those emails off without them getting sent to the junk email. Like, it's easier to find the purchasing coordinator for that municipality.
Yeah.
But how do you get the video advantage when you can't attach it, but also not getting it into a junk mail? Because they want.
Well, a lot of times that's bid to win, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're so like the
So
video.
it's pricing structure?
Yeah,
Like
it's pricing structure's a little bit, but like, it's really hard because it's all bid, you know, like it's all like, so like the differentiation that you're trying to really battle for, you might have some challenges, you know, you're gonna have some challenges inside there, but there are a lot of places that they won't send out to bids, you know what I mean? Like, they might have roads that they're sending out to bid, but trails they might not, you know what I mean? Like, so like there's all sorts of uniqueness inside even a municipality game, but you know, you can use that to win favor. You know, and I mean, if you're looking for their email address, you're going to get it.
Yeah, it's
And
not
that's
hard
all
to
part
find
of
that.
Yeah,
I feel like it comes down, you gotta educate the buyers,
100%.
right? They get a lot of bad information. They
Yeah.
get a lot of uneducated information. They just need to be shown why, you know, if it's a service industry, why you're better, why you're using better products, if you're in the equipment industry, why the products you're selling are better.
Yeah,
And why they're gonna last longer, why it's worth the extra percentage over the competition.
100%.
You know, not knock your competition, but just show them values to identify why they should maybe choose you over.
Yeah, most people do this. You aren't not a competition. Most people do this. We do this. So, guys, a couple other things that to talk about inside here. A couple other a couple other items. Guys, unique technologies and tools. If you guys are using any of the different bid softwares, any of that kind of stuff, explain it. These are points of differentiation and how you're different than your competitors inside there. So, does all this, you know, does that give you guys a head start on going back? Does that give you guys a lot of information inside here? Because, like, you know, my goal inside of here, and what I always try to do with any of the classes that I teach, is I want to give you guys actionable steps to walk away from. Because so many times you can come to these things and you sit down in a class and then you walk out and then you don't ever actually, or you don't ever really know what to do. It's a lot of great information, but it doesn't give you a clear path of what you should do next. And all the time, you know, like if you've ever taken a class from me, I always try to say, here's some checklists, here's things I want you to go home and look at, and then you can march on from there. So, guys, that said, we're wrapping up right about now. Thank you for coming out on a Saturday. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything, the one thing that I will always tell you, I always tell people, if you've ever taken one of my classes, I look at you guys like you're one of my customers. Okay? That said, feel free to reach out to me, contact me any given time. And I'm receptive when I get on the phone. I'll field those calls and I'll get back to you and I'll do anything that I can do to help you guys get to the next level and, you know, help you guys with any kind of needs that you have with videos. If you guys want examples of videos that are done, reach out to me. And I can send you some different videos that we've seen work really well and how they're structured up, and just kind of give you guys some tips and tricks, like little hacks as to what we did, or, you know, I'll even tell you all the stuff where we screwed up that cost us a lot of time. Because I think that's the key part, is that when you guys have people inside there who are billing you guys, you want to make sure that you don't fumble around with it when you guys are becoming El Capitan inside of this whole thing. So, that's it. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. Oh, one more thing. You got to fill out your survey forms inside there. That was the one reminder that I